In this footnote, we're going to be talking about how to use those heels while we're dancing. So there's certain moments in our dancing where we need to have what we consider heel leads. Now, sometimes that's a little misunderstood. When people think about heel leads, they think about being like on the actual edge of the heel. So we're going to get a little bit more specific. When we want you to initiate something with the heel, going forward into our forward walks, we're not actually asking you to be on the heel per se. What I like to think of anyway is the idea of it's the absence of toes. So technically, I don't really have to lift my foot up like this to create a heel lead. As a matter of fact, I've seen it, unfortunately, too often, quite often, where, people will actually slide out a little bit from underneath themselves. You can imagine how dangerous that could be. So we definitely don't want that. So anytime we're dealing with the idea of starting with the heel, it's not so much that I need to worry about being on the physical heel of the backside of that heel. I'm actually thinking about concentrating a little bit more to the inside edge of the heel versus the back edge of the heel. Okay, so when we take our forward walks, I'm looking at it from the point of view that I lift through the toes, and you can see it's very slight. So you're not seeing a major range of motion there. I go from this position, and now I will move from the heel, and I will roll to the toe. So very specifically, you can see through my right foot right now that I'm going from the heel, rolling to the toe. And you can see now I'm kind of head over heels, right? I know. Had to tie it in somehow. I know it's always corny, but just, laugh if you will, please. So as I'm going through the ideas of these heels, remember, we like to think of it, absence of toes. So I am going from the heel to the ball, from the heel to the ball. Now, one of the main things I want to emphasize here is actually not just the foot that I'm arriving over, but the leg that is now non-weighted. So I want you to see this, and I'm going to do this now with my left foot first. So I'm going on the left foot. I've released those toes up a little bit, so you can see again, I'm not super high over the heel. I go from the back side to the front side. Notice this back leg. I'm actually going to work through my ankles to make sure I'm maintaining contact on the way to where I'm going next. And if I keep that motion going, there will be a point where my toes will have to pick up, or else I'll wind up getting into compromised positions. Now, I know I'm a ballroom girl and I'm a Latin girl, but I'm also a Westie. So in my West Coast swing, I love to have as much contact to the floor as long and as often as possible. Basically, I feel like balance and control is at its best when I have more points of connection. So what you will notice is that my personal preference is not that I would actually take a walk and then pick up my back foot and take a walk. There's this moment in time where I'm lingering over one foot and I'm hoping to continue my balance. So instead, I like to continue contact. So if I turn in a different direction, so you see this, again, I initiate with the heel. I go from the heel to the ball of the foot. I take the free leg and I allow that ankle to rotate down through a range that allows me to do it again. And you can see that there's really no point where I am lifting my feet up off of the floor. Now, this is not easy. For as simple as that looks, I cannot tell you how many hours I have gone up and down the studio practicing these connections, and I still do it, and I still traumatize my students with it, but it always pays off. So be aware that in order for us to continue to have contact for as long as possible, you're going to have to work those ankles in a way to allow the heels to come through. Now, as a final thought, sometimes when I'm moving backwards, I am actually going to push from the heel and not the toe. So I want you to see what that looks like. If I use my heel and I drive back, you'll notice again, I have to release the toes. Now, we talk about this a lot in our videos, especially our online instruction and in-class opportunities. We were always discussing the idea of releasing the toes when we want to use the heel action going back. So I'm going to let you see that again. If I go with the left foot first, you will see that this front leg, the one that's weighted, my right foot, will roll and push from the heel. I'll bring it through, and now my left foot will actually roll from the ball to the heel, and now I release. And you can see what that creates is a nice, smooth action across the floor. Now, do we want to do that everywhere? Not necessarily, especially something like West Coast. We mix and match the idea of using heels, and sometimes we're using more of the ball of the foot or the toes. So we kind of have a little bit of a combination in that particular dance. But every dance has its own method and its own idea of, do we want to travel by using those heels, or do we need to use the ball of the foot to create more of a stopping action? So just be on the lookout, and I highly encourage lots of practicing. So if you guys have a hallway, this is something you're going to want to get into your arsenal. It is comfortable, and you are going to actually enjoy the overall look and aesthetic of what it creates on the floor. But more than that, you're going to feel balanced and controlled.